Welcome to another edition of Primetime Alberta Sports Show to all of our viewers across Canada and the world. Today we are sitting down with Chris Colwell. He is one of the directors of the NSA, which is the National Softball Association that runs across Canada. Today we're going to be talking to him about what last season looked like, because they were able to hit a few balls over the fence, and what's it going to look like moving forward this year, even though they may be playing into COVID, but we'll see what happens. And apparently there's an urge for umpires. So if you're interested in that, you may want to stay tuned for today's show. Let's sit down and talk with Chris, shall we?
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
Welcome to the show, Chris. Thanks so much for joining us on this beautiful Sunday afternoon. Well, actually, it's Wednesday. I lied. But anyhow, how's it going, Chris?
Great to be here, Andrew. It's going well. We're gearing up for the season, which, some parts of the country, like BC, they're already looking forward to getting on the diamond. They've got green grass. Here in Alberta, snow is melting, but the grass is still brown. It needs some time to get greened up, but season is right around the corner, and players are getting excited.
That's so good to hear, Chris. Last year I had the opportunity to don a umpire's uniform in Alberta, and it was definitely. Apologies for that. Usually I have my phone on silent. Sorry, everyone. I had the opportunity to don an umpire's uniform last season. Really enjoyed it. Didn't enjoy the heat stroke that I got over the weekend doing a couple hundred games, but Chris, great to hear that we're going to be seeing players back on the diamonds this year. Can you maybe share with our viewers what NSA is, what it does across Canada, and let's go from there, bud?
Well, NSA is a slow-pitch organization, National Slo-Pitch Athletic. We are built for players, by players, and that motto that we started back in 1997 has never been more prevalent than it is today, as with everything that happened last year with COVID. NSA was we were the only ones prepared to go in Calgary and area. That includes some of the major ones like JC Park. They were not prepared. They didn't quite have the ability to move forward with COVID restrictions, whereas NSA did. And, we gave 93 teams a chance to play league last year, and they all enjoyed it. Towards the end of the summer, some things started to open up a little bit more, and we were able to play some tournaments as well. We're hoping for more of a return to normal this year, though.
Is that going to be the same clear across Canada with the organization, Chris? Do you guys feel that we'll be able to hit the diamonds in places like Saskatchewan, Ontario? What's it looking like? Have you guys had a meeting and discussed this?
We're hopeful. We actually this year we've started up the Saskatchewan Provincials in Prince Albert happening in May, I should say I believe it's actually in the July area is when Saskatchewan Provincials are. Also have provincials in Manitoba, BC. Ontario has their usual provincials down at the end of August or end of September, I should say. We're hopeful that across the country everything can get started again. Last year was, a huge hurt for slow pitch. NSA-wise, only 18% of our usual stuff happened, and 16% of that was in Okotoks, Calgary area. The rest of the country really struggled. BC never got off the ground. They were never able to play slow pitch last year. Our Co-ed World Series was canceled. Our Men's and Women's World Series in Ontario was canceled. COVID really hurt us last year, but we're hoping to come out strong here this year.
Have you guys seen, have we opened up registration yet, Chris? Is it looking good for NSA across Canada, or is it just slowly now, letters are going out to teams? Are you guys coming back type thing? What does it look like on your guys' end?
League registration is open. We opened up our league registration in January. It's been slow. The teams that I've talked to that, didn't play last year, they're still holding out playing this year as well, as they're waiting for what government restrictions are. Is We're still not able to play adult sports yet. I know we're at NSA, we're hoping to get some good news from the Alberta government on Monday. Ontario, they're kind of up and down. They had the Hamilton area, they said, oh yeah, you guys can play. Last week they said, no, you guys can no longer play now. You're back into, back down in the orange level, so sports is closed again. So we're hopeful that things open up. I guess the most concerning one for us is BC, because they have been the most stringent on restrictions, and nothing's really been able to open up and play there. But we look at our BC leagues, and they're trying to proceed to go ahead as normal this year, or with some COVID guidelines. It's just a matter of the health authorities in each province allowing us to play.
Chris, you brought up the guidelines. Are NSA going to just come up with stringent guidelines themselves to enforce on their players so they can actually get back safely and be able to participate at all this season, even if it's opened up? Are you guys going to have your own stricter guidelines to make sure that we can play?
We do have guidelines in place. The ones that we used last year, what we're planning to use to at least start the year, especially here in Alberta, we're planning that, look, it's not going to probably be a return to the normal that we saw in 2019, where, hey, you could get together with 100 friends and play, 4 or 5 games of slow pitch. It's probably going to be, hey, you could get together with 50 friends and you're going to play 3 or 4 games of slow pitch. But, as long as we're outside getting the fresh air, that was the one main thing that we saw with COVID last year is outside in the summertime, it slows down. We had one close contact case in all of the games that we played last year, which was, I'm trying to do some quick math off the top of my head. I think we were close to close to 800 games played last year just in Calgary and area alone. That doesn't include the year-end playoffs and some of the tournaments that happened out at Okotoks on deck.
The struggles that you guys went through last year, were you guys able to adapt quickly to those and be able to provide a safe playing environment for all players and umpires?
We were actually. We throughout the whole thing, credit to Terry Civic. He was everybody else's leagues. They canceled in early April, mid-April, late May, and Terry said, keep reassuring the players that, hey, look, we're still planning to play. Our drop dead date is like July 18th. At that point, we don't have the season, we don't have the daylight or the weather to kind of go ahead and continue the season, but we're still planning to go ahead. Let's as the restrictions, I was watching the daily updates from Alberta and updating the guidelines. I had great support with Scott Surge, Joe Rose, Jason Buxton, some great supports I had out there. And every day we had an update that, was like, okay, something looks like it's going to happen. This is what we have going forward. So when the government gave us permission to go ahead, middle of June, we were able to hit the ground running. We took an extra week just to make sure that we had all the teams ready to go, and we were able to, when the government said, yeah, you guys can go, we were able to go because we were prepared, and we looked at what the provincial government had done earlier on at the end of April with Golf Alberta, and that was, no, you guys can't play, you can't play, and then all of a sudden on a Friday afternoon said, okay, golf courses are open on Saturday. And Golf Alberta was like, wait, we're not prepared for that. And I'm like, I was watching that going, this is exactly what's going to happen to us. We have to be prepared to go ahead at a moment's notice. And that was exactly what we were able to do.
That's great news. You guys were on the ball like that. Chris, we got to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to ask you some more questions about the upcoming season. See you with us, everyone.
Hi, I'm JD Houghton, host of the SAS Sports Show. Catch it every Thursday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time for all things Saskatchewan sports.
That there was my buddy JD, great guy. He hosts the Saskatchewan Sports Show. We're back today with Chris, and Chris with the NSA National Softball Association across Canada. Chris, before we went to break, did I get that correct? National Softball.
Slo-Pitch, National Slo-Pitch Athletic.
Slo-Pitch. Sorry. It's been a long week. Before we went to break, we were just talking about how you guys were able to adapt to the protocols that were put in place. Are you guys hoping and crossing your fingers that you'll have all teams able to play clear across Canada this season? And if so, what could a schedule look like for them?
That is the hope, is that we're able to go all across Canada. The season is in Alberta 6 weeks away from starting in the Calgary area. We're hoping to get that started. We started advertising our free league tournaments that we had to cancel last year due to COVID, and that is any NSA sanctioned Calgary area league. They have access to 4 free tournaments. Trying something different this year with one of those tournaments. We're doing it as a bracket challenge rather than the usual 3-game round robin modified double knockout. So that's getting a lot of traction. Some other brand new tournament that we're associated with this year, Heavy Hitters up in Red Deer. It's a draft tournament. So we're hoping that everything goes off and that the provincial governments and the federal governments allow us to play slow pitches. I think that last year we're hoping that we really proved that, look, slow pitch can be played very safely. There's guidelines in place. It's not even just slow pitch. It's fastball. It's softball as well. It's hardball. It can all be played very safely, despite the fact that, yeah, there's some close plays, but those close plays are very few and far between. It's not like football. It's not like hockey. It's not like basketball. I'd say 95% of the time you can have that 6 feet of social distancing between everybody.
Mm-hmm. What would a season look like if one was to happen this year, Chris? What would a schedule look like for the players?
The hope is end of April for most of our leagues. Okotoks, we're not starting until the middle of May as we're doing some diamond maintenance. So hopefully that is what it looks like, is end of April right through to the end of September. And then we have some fall tournaments in October, some really popular ones like our Skins tournament that it happens the weekend before Canadian Thanksgiving. We have our Thanksgiving tournament as well. And popular one is the fall ball playoffs with the Halloween tournament. Teams come dressed up. So that's what we're hoping for, a normal season as well. Our Co-Ed World Series out in Kamloops, September long weekend. Our Men's and Women's World Series in Hamilton on the August long weekend. We're hoping for a return to normal. If we don't have that return to normal, though, we are prepared with our COVID guidelines. We're prepared to start a little bit later. We're still hopeful that all these tournaments that you're seeing on your screen right now, that we can get them going. New one this year is the Western Canadian Super Series. Has a lot of interest. It's a 3-tournament series, and the first one we have already 30 teams with another 20, 30 teams that we've been talking to that are kind of waiting on restrictions and seeing what's going to come up with the Alberta provincial restrictions before they register for it.
So as you just brought up, Chris, on the screen, I popped up all of the tournaments that are coming up. That again, everyone is in the organization is holding their breath, anxiously waiting for the governments to say, "Go ahead." Obviously, players are looking forward to hitting the diamond. You brought up some important information there, Chris. You're doing some more diamond, fixes, if you will, some restoration down there. So what's it going to look like in Okotoks? Are we looking for all the diamonds to be perfect and ready to rock by April, May?
All 7 diamonds we're preparing all 7 diamonds to be ready to go. Some of the maintenance that we're doing to the diamonds that we're hoping to, get done as long as the weather keeps up the way it is and the ground does thaw, is we're looking at putting some irrigation into the outfields for the quad this year. and that irrigation will be, sprinkler system that'll pop up and water the grass and keep it nice and green, like we had for the start of the season last year until we hit the 45-degree weather and forgot to water it. So,
oops.
Yep, turned a little brown at that point.
Hey, a little bit of brown grass is okay. It doesn't look good on camera, but hey, it's still good.
Exactly.
It slows the ball down just a little bit faster. Chris, let's go back to the tournaments here. Really excited to see so many tournaments being offered for your players again this year. Which one are you primarily looking the most forward to, and why?
I think we're looking forward mostly to the provincial tournaments. As we have been, I'll be honest, we've been behind SPN, and SPN has provincial tournaments, national championship tournaments every year. We have the national championship tournaments as well, but we've been behind a little bit on the provincial tournaments. But this year, adding that BC provincials, Saskatchewan provincials, we're looking at adding Alberta provincials, August long weekend. Ontario's always had provincials, but it's good to see Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and BC jumping on board this year and saying, hey, yeah, we want to do the provincial tournaments. We're in talks with Manitoba to try and secure a date. Manitoba's been the second heaviest province on restrictions, so they're a little on the fence about how quickly they're going to be able to get going. They're trying their hardest to get going, working with the provincial government. From everything we've heard, leagues across the country, they're struggling, and it's just because teams are struggling to, I guess, put the commitment in for a full season. And you have to look no further than what hockey had this year. Hockey, I'll use Alberta as, that's where I am, started up in September, October, September was a lot of practices. October, you started to play games. November was, you were still playing some games, and then all of a sudden it was shut down. And hockey has still been shut down for the most part on a playing level, unless you're playing major junior or junior A. Other than that, the rest of hockey in the province shut down, lost their season. So, teams are looking at that, and a lot of our teams have kids that, play hockey. So they're looking at it and going, hey, look, do I really want the yo-yo up and down? Yes, we're playing. No, we're not allowed to play. No, yes, we're practicing. No, we're not allowed to practice. So they're kind of the teams are sitting on the fence, and then we're seeing that across the country. The tournaments are getting a lot of popularity and a lot of registration because it's a lot easier to, say, make yourself available for a 3-day tournament or a 2-day tournament than it is to make yourself available for a 4 or 5, 6 month season.
Yeah. It's kind of a bummer, though. But at least you get to look forward to going out and slamming a few brewskis and possibly a steak after you hit the ball over the fence, and then you go find it. Chris, let's take another quick commercial break, bud. We'll be right back as we tackle, I don't know, what else should we talk about? There's a lot to talk about. We'll be right back, Chris. Hang in there, bud. Let's find out which commercial we should run now, shall we? I want to run this one. Welcome back to Primetime Alberta Sports Show. We're joined by Chris from the NSA Canada. Chris, just before we hit the commercial break there, and I picked that great commercial, we were talking about the hope and the holding of the breath of returning to play in Alberta with softball and how the slow pitch season could look like. What's the feedback right now currently that you're getting from any of the participants? Are they talking to you guys? Are they inquiring into what it's going to look like? And have they asked about me and wondering if I'm going to be back behind the home plate?
They have been inquiring. Teams have been inquiring about, like I said, as I said before that last commercial break, the kind of the yo-yo effect, and all the league teams have been asking if there is, if the leagues are shut down due to COVID by the government, is there going to be refunds? And our answer to that is always yes, there is. So we had, of our 11 leagues in the Calgary area, we had, I think it was 5 of them that did not get all their games played. Those teams had a refund. They had an option actually for their refund, which was you could roll it forward to this season. You could use it for the swag if you were the champion of the league or a finalist. So the teams took advantage of that, and a lot of them are coming back. We're at the same number of teams that we were from last year, but I've still got several teams waiting on the fence to see what's going to happen with the Alberta government. Like I said, we're hoping for some good news here very shortly from them, and hopefully be able to get back into it. Now, if we do get into a normal season, brings up our next thing that we have a good thing to look at is umpires. In Calgary area on a normal season, we're looking at more than 30,000 games that we need umpires for. So that's a lot of umpires when you break it down. In Calgary area, we usually have start the season with about 120 umpires, and it dwindles down to about 80 to end the season. But you get a lot of money for that, for umpiring, depending on where you are, which province you're in, and which league you umpire as well. Also, with the number of tournaments that we have, as you said, Andrew, those very warm tournaments that you can umpire 20 games in a weekend for a long weekend. It's a lot of money that you get in your back pocket that can help go a long way, especially with the number of people that were laid off due to COVID and are still looking for work after, with COVID still hanging around. People are still looking for work. This is a good way to get out, get some fresh air, get some extra cash in your pocket.
Just looking at the thing here, Chris, definitely it's pretty cool. You get an official rain suit. I never got an official rain suit.
I think that's an old one there. We've unfortunately run out of the rain suits. They are sold out. New umpires do, though, get a shirt and a hat. It's a $75 registration fee. You can make arrangements with your local UIC, whether that comes off your game fees that you do. And that's usually what we do here in the Calgary area, is comes off your first, call it 3 games. It's I think about 2.5 games. So your first night plus half a night, and then you're paid for, you're covered insurance-wise. So that's always a big thing. Let's continue the conversation about umpires. How important is it for you guys to secure and make sure you have umpires for every game like this? I do recall umpiring some games, and some of these guys are intense. So to them, this is the big leagues, and they want to have a good ump. So let's talk about umpiring. What skills should you have if you want to become an umpire with NSA, and what does the training look like? And yeah. Well, what skills was we want people that are passionate about the game, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be passionate about slow pitch. It's passionate about ball, any kind of ball, period. Want to see you be able to, go out there and hustle and be able to. We've changed our dynamic for umpires over the years. It used to be, we wanted to see umpires out there at second base, and it's difficult with being one person to, get out there and cover all the bases. Well, we've been slowly developing how to cover all 4 bases with only going as far as the pitcher's mound and still being able to see everything happening. And so, going away are the days of, hey, you got to, make sure you're basically a 100-yard dash runner. Normal people can umpire. And without umpires, slow pitch doesn't really exist. Yes, there are some leagues that self-umpire, but I've talked to a lot of teams that have come over to NSA from Calgary Sport and Social Club, which is all self-umpired. They've come over, and one of the number one things they've said is, we want umpires. We want our games to be umpired, because when you self-ump, sometimes you get the people that don't know the rules. They have no clue what the rules are. I've had teams come over and be like taking the umpire clinic and going, I didn't know that rule existed. I made that call wrong. Actually, that was funny story, Andrew. That's how I got involved with NSA. Was I used to play Calgary Sports Social Club, played Slo-Pitch with my sister. It was a family team, and I made a call that I questioned in my head for months after I made that call, and went, I got to figure out if I made the right call or wrong call. Turns out I made the wrong call, but I got involved with NSA, took the umpire clinic, asked the umpire-in-chief of all Canada, Scott Surge, this is the call I made. Was it right or wrong? He's like, gives me this look. He goes, that was the wrong call. The ball was touched in foul territory. It's a foul ball. It doesn't matter that it rolled into fair territory afterwards. It was touched in foul territory. And I'm like, okay, so I made the wrong call against my own team. I know better now. So, whoops. I know better now, though. But that's the umpire training. On a normal year, we have a 1 or 2 day weekend clinic, go over the rules. Nice weather, you get to go outside, and Scott stays inside and lawyer talks the rules, basically tries to put you to sleep, and then you get to go outside and you get to actually live demonstrate the rules with a couple of other of our senior umpires. And then once the season gets started, we have normally we have a startup tournament, season opener we call it. It's a lot of big money for the teams to come in. It's basically 90% payout, and the umpires, the senior umpires, are out there and they train the rookie umpires. My season opening tournament was very interesting weather-wise. We had everything. We had snow, we had rain, we had sleet, we had sunshine. That was all on the Saturday. Sunday came around and it was nothing but just pure sunshine and about 20 degrees. But the Saturday, it was about +1, and by the end of it, you were standing in a little bit of a puddle of water from the rain and the snow and sleet that we got.
That's awesome. That's Alberta weather for you, isn't it, Chris?
It really is, especially in the early parts of the season, the end of April, beginning of May, which is when that tournament usually runs.
Yeah.
But after that season opening tournament, you go out your first couple of nights with a senior umpire, and then they report back to the office, usually me, to say whether or not the person is ready to go or they need more training. We also talk to those rookie umpires to see if they would like more training or if they're comfortable enough to go on their own. And once they are, that's when they start getting paid, is when you're out there on your own and doing the umpiring on your own.
I can say for last season being my first season getting thrown behind the home plate, it's a thankless job.
It is.
It can be fun at sometimes. Sorry.
You're only going to make one team. You're going to make one team happy with every call that you make.
Oh, that's very true, Chris. But I think the most enjoyable part, if I may, that I really enjoyed about umpiring is just the friends you make. Like, it was phenomenal. The teams, regardless if they won or lost, you became good friends. So let's talk about that for a minute. The friendships that are formed at some of these tournaments and with the umpires, it's phenomenal. Like, you've been in this for quite some time. Talk about the friendships that are made, Chris.
Well, it's kind of funny that way, is when you go to on a normal year, when you have the umpire clinic, Scott Surge tries to tell you, don't be buddy-buddy with the players, but it is so difficult not to be buddy-buddy with the players. I mean, you're standing behind the plate with a catcher, with 2, 3, 4 catchers in a game, and, conversations get struck up, and you got to keep them PG and all that, even though Slo-Pitch players sometimes don't keep conversations PG. You got to try and keep it PG. But then, you see, like at tournaments, you see the camaraderie between the umpires and then the umpires and players. Now, for the major tournaments like the provincials and the worlds, the umpires stay apart from the players, and the umpires interact with the other umpires, and the players interact with each other because, everybody knows that, hey, this is some big money on the line, especially you get to the Co-Ed World Series in Kamloops. The Open Championship is $10,000. So you don't want to be out there as an umpire, buddy-buddy with a player, and a player, having a conversation with you, and all of a sudden a ball gets hit towards them, and they miss it because they're having a conversation with you, not worrying about the game. So for your normal just weekend tournaments that happen all the time, all over the province, all over the country, yeah, you see a lot of umpires. You get buddy. In Okotoks, there's an umpires table, but the players, they don't hesitate to come up and talk to you and talk to the umpires and make friends with the umpires. So that, it's like I said, it's very difficult as an umpire to not be friends with the players, and especially the more teams you see and the more often you see them, you get to know them really well.
Who should a potential individual talk to if they want more information about becoming an umpire, Chris?
For the Calgary area, be email sportsprogrammer@nsacanada.ca. For the rest of the country, email info@nsacanada.ca. Or you can go online to the NSA Canada website under Forms and Applications. You click on Become an Umpire and fill out the information. We're trying to get the 2021 exam up online. We're in the process of changing our website, so that's why it's been a little bit of a struggle to get that up online, as it hasn't really been working out with the coding for some reason, but that's above my pay grade. But yeah, get signed up. We get you in contact with your local umpire-in-chief, whoever that is, wherever you are in the country. And that's, all the information. A lot of the information for umpiring is up on the website. The rule book is also up there. You can go and take a look at it before you get your own hard copy of the rule book. So lots of options out there.
Chris, we got to take another commercial break. We'll be right back, everyone. Welcome back to the show, everyone. We're joined by Chris, who works with the NSA Canada. Chris, let's talk about player registrations and player classification guidelines. I just want to bring this up for everyone. So if I have a team or want to enter a team, what would it look like? What do I have to go through to get my team involved?
To get your team involved, if you're in the Calgary area, email sportsprogrammer@nsacanada.ca. I'll send you information for all of our 11 leagues that we offer here at NSA. If you're in the rest of the country, best bet is to email info@nsacanada.ca, and from there we'll get back to you. We'll put you in contact with the league, the proper leagues in your area, and from there you go on to that player classification. You register yourself on the NSA Canada website, and that basically what it does is it helps cover you insurance-wise if something happens on the diamond. Most of our players, if you're just a general league team, register yourself as a rec team, as a rec player. Doesn't matter if you're being put into an A division. If you're playing, most of it is rec players. The A ranking is for those that play the open ball. For the COA, go for the $10,000 championship game, and for men's and women's worlds, those big money championship games as well. But most of the players are rec players.
I don't agree with you, Chris. Those guys can throw the ball pretty good, dude.
and actually, because of COVID last year, you didn't even get to see the best of the best in the country. You head out to Kamloops, you go, oh yeah, they look pretty good. They can throw the ball pretty accurately. You go out to Kamloops or go out to Hamilton and you watch those games there, and even the bottom really rec teams, you go, okay, this is just way beyond the capacity that the teams do in local ball. So then you go back and you watch the local ones, and you go, oh, that's a play that I would have been able to easily make a call on, but no, you juggled it at first base, and now I have to think about what my call is going to be. But it's going to be a bang bang thing. I
think the most funny story when I I answered an ad that you had, Chris, about umpires were needed, and yeah, don't worry about it, Andrew. It'll be fun. You'll enjoy it. Yeah, okay, sure. It's some of these guys are very intense, and I can tell you, I don't know all the rules, but it was you got told the rules pretty quick off some of these players. But yeah, but the friendships that you make and just being able to talk to them and see the passion that they have for the game is unbelievable. Some of them are like, they're pretty wild. So yeah, thanks for that experience, Chris.
Not a problem, Andrew. And yeah, last year was difficult for us with COVID. We didn't get a chance to do a normal weekend clinic. It was as I said, Alberta government said, okay, adult sports, you guys can play. And the next day we were expected, teams were expecting us to be ready to go and play. It took us, like I said, a week to get going because we had to also organize the umpires. And we had quite a few rookie umpires. We were trying to get everybody kind of a crash course on the rule book, which, as you said, a little difficult because we're throwing every single rule at you we threw it at you in a 6-hour time period. And it's difficult to remember those rules, and even more difficult when you're not seeing it in game action. It's one thing to know the rule book. One of our best umpires was illiterate, could not read, was not able to read the rule book. Came to the clinic, got taught by verbal, but it wasn't until he got on the diamond that he found out just how quickly everything comes in. And the running joke for umpires is we teach you the entire rule book, but you're going to use 20% of the rule book 80% of the time, but you have to know the other 80% of the rule book 20% of the time, because you're going to get those situations that happen at least once a year, sometimes twice, 3 times a year. So that's why we go over the entire rule book. It's last year, as I said, Andrew, it was really quick. It was going over the entire rule book in a 6-hour time period, and then getting you right in there, throwing you right into the fire, so to speak. And it is, as I'm sure you can attest to, a lot easier to call a rule when you see it live in play than it is to go, okay, well, I don't quite understand the wording of it. But then when you see it, it's like, oh, okay, now I know how to call it. So, I mean, that was one of our best umpires. And honestly, one of the worst people we had umpire knew the rule book like the back of his hand, 100% on every test, but got out there trying to see the play and could not make a call to save their life. So it's very interesting, the dynamic of umpires, really. I'll be honest, Scott Surge and Jason Harper, my first year, they thought, oh, there's no way this guy is going to last more than 2 months. Like I was one of those ones that I went in, I'm like, well, I know quite a bit, but I don't want to show that I know quite a bit, because what if I'm wrong? I have that fear of failure kind of thing. Yeah. So I kind of, sat back and I was quiet and I listened in and I, took notes, and everybody thought, oh yeah, here's this quiet, geeky glasses guy, not going to last more than a month. And that first tournament, I went right in there. I was ready to go. Had teams coming up. They're like, yeah, that guy's really good. He's ready to go on his own. And Scott and Jason, they looked at each other and went, he's ready to go on his own. But this was their quietest guy in the clinic. Came and watched and realized, okay, he knows the game. He's just being very coy about it.
Way to toot your own horn, Chris.
I do.
No, I got it. I do have to admit, it was a great opportunity to do it, and looking forward to it again this season. Just to be out there and making the wrong call, getting yelled at, and water bottles thrown at your head is always what you want to do on a Wednesday or Thursday night. That's all I gotta say. Yeah. Chris, we gotta take another. Sorry.
I was gonna say, just before we do, like I said, half the time somebody's gonna be mad at you, or more than half the time, always one team is gonna be mad at you.
That's true. Very true. We'll be right back with more from Chris and the NSA. Listen to the link in a minute. Welcome back, everyone, to the show. Chris, let's wrap it up here, bud. We need umpires this year. We want teams. We all want to pray for warm weather, and we want to pray that the governments open up so we can actually play. Final thoughts, Chris. What's the season going to look like, and what are you most excited about?
Well, final thoughts are we're hoping that the season looks normal or mostly normal. We're prepared for COVID guidelines if they are in place. We're prepared to play a season as normal as possible. And looking forward to our men's and women's World Series in Hamilton returning and our co-ed World Series in Kamloops returning as well. Just looking forward to a great season and warm weather. And it's been really difficult that everybody's getting antsy because the weather's been fairly warm for the last month here. So we're excited. We're hopeful that pretty soon we're going to have some good news and we're going to be able to get back on the diamond.
And hit everybody up again with that website address so they can go hit it up and talk to you guys about becoming an umpire or registering a team.
So to become an umpire, nsacanada.ca. Under forms and applications, click on Become an Umpire. To register a team, email either sportsprogrammer@nsacanada.ca or info@nsacanada.ca. We'll get back to you with the proper leagues to look at in your area.
Awesome. Chris, thanks so much for joining us. Stay right there, bud. Thanks so much, everyone, for watching our show today. We appreciate having Chris from NSA on to give us an in-depth look of what's hopefully coming up this season with softball or slow pitch. Sorry. With Slo-Pitch. Talk to you all soon. Thanks for joining in.